But going back to LaGuardia, the school you went to, the
Mm-hmm.
high school, excuse me, you went
Mm-hmm.
to. Do you think, in comparison, obviously it wasn't like Degrassi, anything like it, like you said yourself,
Yeah.
but do you think being in an artsy, I guess, to informally to say it like that,
Yeah. Accurate.
sort of high school, do you think it was more competitive amongst yourselves since everybody's looking for their kind of moment in the spotlight depending on what they're focusing on?
It definitely was, and I tried not to really get into that competitive stuff because I was more focused on like wanting friends, pretty much. I wanted to just find a circle that I felt like I fit into and was comfortable with, and we could just, I feel like for the most part I wanted to have fun, and I wasn't like jumping toward the major programs and stuff in that school. They had certain programs where it was like they would really focus on your writing as yourself as an artist, as opposed to, I'm just going to chorus because it's like in my schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So I was more so just following my schedule and kind of taking the more basic route for the most part. But I would say around when I was 16 or 17, I would like write songs on my own, just like, to myself.
And I think you said that's where you started getting more into poetry, right? And that helped you kind of delve into that more?
Yeah, I was always, along with like I said, storytelling, poetry was always something that I felt like I wanted to incorporate in my music. It almost feels like it's needed for a song that you want to hit people with. I feel like a lot of music like that lacks poetry, and I don't know how I sound saying that, but where's the poetry?
Where's the soul?
Right. Which is definitely how I got into R&B and soul. That is very poetic, both musically and lyrically. But yeah, I definitely got into poetry and like understanding structures of music. Even understand, kind of like treating a song like a movie. Like, how do we introduce what's about to happen and like the trials and tribulations of what's going on in the song, and even kind of just like giving little bits throughout the song, so it's not like I'm just throwing everything in the beginning and then it's like we have nothing to look forward to. So really creating a psychology behind music is something that I feel like I did on my own time. And songwriting I never learned in school. And yet I feel like that's something that people gravitate towards the most with my music, is the writing.
So you went in as a vocal major, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does that encompass as far as like your curriculum?
Chorus for sure. Be like a chorus of 100 people or something, all in a room like trying to sing at the same time.
So just question about that then. How does that get judged as far as like your grade is concerned?
There were times where like let's say we're learning a piece and we have maybe a few days to learn it or a week to learn it. Then they would like literally for that whole 45 minutes or whatever that we had of chorus, they would go through every person and we would sing the song or maybe part of the song so that they could hear how we're doing, what's working and what's not working, or like, you need to be a little bit louder or you need to sing more like this as opposed to wide or whatever, things like that. And they could see things sometimes, or maybe they would separate it by section, like there's, alto 1, alto 2, soprano 1, soprano 2. So sometimes we would go section by section. And of course, if you were like really off, they would be able to hear that. And so they would kind of have to nitpick, go row by row to figure out where the problem is, So depending on like how the teachers, like, because some teachers are a little bit more polite about it and they'll be a little bit more understanding that, we are learning this potentially new technique of singing. A lot of us listen to pop music and stuff or whatever it is. So it's the way that pop singers sing based on like, this is how like classical singers will explain it to you, is that like they're singing wide. So it's like, I don't know how to explain it, but they're singing more wide. And like, if you think of an opera singer, they're singing more like, oh, as opposed to, ah. So it's like that way of trying to teach us a new technique, basically. So yeah, I would say they're kind of on top of you about it, but because it's such a big chorus, it kind of teaches you accountability and like you have to be the one to learn this on your own. So I think that's one of the good things about chorus, that it gave you a lot of accountability. Another class that we took was music theory, which was, understanding notes and chords and different scales and keys and things like that. And a little bit of music history as well, which I do not remember most of. But yeah, music theory, I wouldn't say that I know how to read perfectly. Like if I were to see something, I can't just play it on hand. But if I like took the time to like review like what this note is, I could probably eventually get it.
And any other classes that stand out besides that you remember?
The only other one I could think of that I took, geez, I forgot what it was called, but it was more like solo singing. Like they would give us a classical piece to sing in front of the class, and it would be a class of maybe like 20 or something. And so the teacher would be playing on the piano, and we would be singing to it, and it'd probably be like a very classical type of song. So yeah, that would be like your chance of being in the spotlight in a way, unless you had gotten a solo in, you know, a performance or something. But if you had never gotten a solo, like I had never really gotten a solo, then that was kind of me tackling stage fright in a way. So that kind of, I feel like, was my intro to after high school, when I actually started to get into doing open mics and like performing and stuff, is like I would try to channel, not necessarily channel, but in order for me to prepare what I'm about to get into, is be like, it's going to be like that time when you were in class and you had people in front of you and you were singing in front of those people. The main difference is that it's my personal music. And in fact, I felt like more comfortable with my personal music than like some classical piece that I could not relate to for the most part, you know?
Yeah, because that's like, obviously it's much older. It's been out there since before any of us were born. So how can you really connect like that unless you kind of actually, oh, I like classical, so I'll actually learn it properly.
Right, yeah.
There's no bond to it, right?
For the most part, yeah. There were, I feel like, so every year of high school, we would learn a different like language of classical music. So like the first year I think was Italian, and then the next one was German, and then it was French, and then senior years when you would do English. So I guess that's when I kind of started like feeling like I could relate to the music better. Like even though they would like translate it for us or tell us what it means, like when we were doing the other languages, but it's different when you're singing things that are just like, they come as breathing. You know, our first language to us comes as breathing. And so when we hear it, or when we're singing it, we can really connect to it in a way that makes it a little more special. So it felt like when you become a senior, you feel like you earned that connection, because all those years you were just like singing what they were assigning you. And even though you're still assigned to the English music, it's like, okay, I can tap into whoever I am when I sing these words. I don't know if everybody was treating it that way, but because I've always been connected to lyrics and storytelling, it felt like that for me.
That was more your path.
Yeah.
So then after you graduated from there, how did you feel overall about your experience? Like, did you get much from it, or did you have to do more like soul searching per se while you were there?
I would say both. I would say I did get a lot from it, but there was a lot that I also missed out on. And I feel like because I was always around people, I didn't put enough attention on myself. Which is still something that I'm trying to get better at today, is like putting more attention on myself and who am I as a person. And so I feel like at the time it was more who am I as an artist, and trying to find my sound, like who do I like that I feel like relates to my sound. A singer that I feel like I found myself singing one of her songs a lot is Corinne Bailey Rae. I don't know if you know her.
You know what's so funny? I saw your hair in one of the pictures when I first started following you, and I was like, Corinne Bailey Rae.
Yeah. We do have some similar physicality.
Well, not to trivialize it like that, but it was like, damn. Then I remembered her because she was around the time Amy Winehouse when she was first getting big,
right?
And no one even paid attention to her, even though she had like a really like a songbird, angelic kind of sound to her,
Yes,
like a really sweet tone,
right?
And I loved it so much.